On Nationwide this evening, boat building and the friendships and cooperation that the craft makes possible. We look in on a Roscommon man and the interesting story of him and his apprentice as they set about crafting a boat for the Shannon. And in Ennis, County Clare, second-level students who set themselves the task of building a curragh, a project that involved a lot of hard work and team building. You're welcome to Nationwide, and this evening we're coming to you from the tiny village of Lecarrow in County Roscommon. We're on the shores of Lough Ree on the River Shannon, and we have two very special stories for you. Just a little bit further down the lake is a boat builder called Jimmy Fury. Now Jimmy is 85 years old and my goodness, he is still going strong. In fact, this year he took on an apprentice. Niall Martin has the story.
It all started with this, a sort of Jim'll fix it letter. The Jim in this story is Jimmy Fury, master boat builder, and the letter writer is former Irish Olympic sailor Cathy McAlevey. Cathy wanted Jim to fix it for her to help build a boat.
I was just so enthralled that there was somebody left, you know, such a wonderful craftsman working, you know, with, you know, in really the most beautiful place in the country. And I just thought, God, I would love to be an apprentice.
Cathy wanted to be an apprentice to 85-year-old Jimmy Fury. Jimmy's been building a particular type of boat for 50 years. The Shannon 1 design is a small, standardised yacht that the sailing fraternity race on the Shannon. Jimmy lives in a cosy cottage, which he shares with his dog Tato on the shores of Lough Ree in County Roscommon. This is the letter Cathy wrote to Jimmy.
The project. 1. Build a Shannon 1 design or a 12-footer or whatever you would suggest. 2. Me, Cathy, to work as your apprentice. 3. Me, Cathy, to source and provide timber.
Cathy wasn't quite sure how Jimmy would take the letter. It was a big ask. But she put in a few ground rules for clarity's sake.
6. If you get fed up with me, go home earlier. 7. Project would be at whatever time frame would suit you. I quite understand if you would not want to do it, but then again you may think it would be a bit of an adventure. Love, Cathy.
In 1988, filmmaker David Shaw Smith featured Jimmy in his wonderful traditional craft series, Hands.
Boats and Shannon water are the central song of Jimmy Fury's life. But how did he come to boat building?
We always had a boat, and there'd be a time when you'd have to do repairs on them. So bit by bit you get more gear, and every day you decide that it was time to build one. So that's how it happened. A fisherman would build a better boat than a carpenter, because he knows, you know, he knows what he wants. He knows the shape she should be, whereas a carpenter goes by straight lines. It's all curves in a boat.
You know, when I saw sort of what, you know, the programme that David Shaw Smith did and on Jimmy, and I just felt, isn't it wonderful that, you know, he's still building boats in his 80s. You know, it shows, well, it's interesting. Even Jimmy, like he told me one day, he said, the day that you retire is the day you start pushing daisies up. And like, I think Jimmy's a very good example of you know, keeping your mind active and keeping working, and I think it gives a good longevity to life.
Jimmy hasn't made a boat for a few years now, and he didn't think he'd ever make another until Cathy came along.
I met her a few times at regatta, so, you know, I thought she was quite capable in it after a bit, so I decided to write back and tell her, you know, that I would, if she wanted, I would teach her the rudiments of building. But she'd have to do all the hard work. I said, I'm past that now, so she agreed.
When Jimmy rang me, my daughter Annalise, she was at home and she texted my husband and said, your mad wife is moving to Roscommon to build a boat. And he was at a meeting in work, and he went, oh my God, she's done it, you know. And but anyway, he was actually more behind it than my kids. Finn informed me that I was a bad parent and that I really was being quite silly going off, and he told me he thought women of my age went and bought sports cars, you know, when they were going through their midlife crisis, and didn't move to Roscommon to build boats.
Though a bachelor, Jimmy is not without a family.
I have two brothers and two sisters. The two sisters are married close by. One brother is in England, and Paddy is retired out of the Navy. He's living here with me now and helping him with the boat building. He gardens and does the cooking.
Jimmy still lives in his cottage way off the beaten track, but violence was visited on Jimmy and his brother Paddy in 1995. During a spate of attacks on older people, thieves robbed them and badly beat Paddy. He died subsequently.
We got on well together, so we did. You know, this part of your life taken away that was precious to you, your peace of mind. But then you can't be having that in front of your eyes all your life, thinking of, you know, that time. So you have to get out and put it behind you as good as you can.
The years you can feel the walls you climb now, they're getting that bit higher, and the hills are getting that bit steeper, and boats are beginning to get that bit heavier, and you know well the fellow with the long gown and the sight under his arm is catching up. So he is.
23 years ago, Jimmy was already ruminating on his retirement and feeling that he was slowing down.
He had said that he wouldn't build any more boats. He had felt that there was too much pressure in building a boat for a client, shall we say. But I think that when it was that we were building a boat and I was like his apprentice, and then it didn't really matter how long it took for us to build it, I think that then it became, you know, well, this is going to be fun. And he said to me when I came down here first, he said that, you know, it's something that he's really good at, and he loves building boats. And in one way he was quite sad that he'd stopped building boats, but this was kind of a way of continuing doing what he says he's good at, and he is really good at it. It's a great privilege to be able to work, you know, with people like Jimmy and learn a new craft, and you know, and he has so many wonderful techniques and ideas, and I just felt that apart from anything else, apart from just even the fact of building the boat, was to record. I've kind of thought, well, I'd maybe do drawings and take photographs, and then, you know, for posterity, that you know, Jimmy and me building a boat would be of interest to somebody, you know, some days. So that was really kind of where the idea came from.
Later in the programme, we'll see how Jimmy and his apprentice got on. But in this show, nobody gets fired and there are no rows. Just care, deep appreciation and a love of good company and boat building.
Isn't that just a lovely story? It's so nice to see the friendship and the affection between Jimmy and Kathy, and we will be going back to them in a little while. And by the way, you can get the entire Hands series now in a box DVD set from the address that's on your TV screens. Well, now we're going to change tack slightly now. It's not often that you see young people getting involved in boat building, but that's exactly what happened to a group of first and second year students at Ennis Community College earlier this year. So we went along to see how they're progressing.
These teenagers are not just rowing this traditional West Clare Kirk, they built it in 1 week in their school hall.
We started in January setting targets for students. It's part of a Junior Cert Schools programme. It's basically targeted intervention and cross-curricular projects that we run across the schools. So we chose a number of students in first and second year, set targets for them, and they earned their place on the project. And then for 1 week prior to the midterm break in February, we allowed them access to the hall for the week to create the Corrock.
It all began 1 week ago when master craftsman James Madigan started with €700 worth of timber and a few boxes of screws.
Basically, I arrived in with a few basic sketches, an idea, and a bale of timber. Kids need to be challenged. You know, it's so easy well, in one sense, all they have to do is press a button and an answer pops up, whether it's on the internet or on their iPod or whatever. But this, you know, they need to be physically challenged. So it doesn't move. I didn't build this. I just came in with the concept and I provided the material. But it was the teenagers themselves that they built it. You know, they had to put every screw in, every nail. They had to plane the timber. There's no shortcuts. There's no easy way to do this.
The aim of the project is to make learning more practical and encourage teenagers to stick with school. James had a quiz each day, and the boat building skills helped with their maths and also with their English, as they had to chronicle each day's work in a journal and video.
Well, it was very fun and interesting, and we learned a lot of new things.
Yeah, I learned a good lot, like, you know. Before that I used not to be good at woodwork and all that, but now I'm pretty good, you know.
Oh, I enjoy really everything there, like bending the wood, how it, you know, putting everything together from scratch.
Just to know that me and a bunch of my friends built that boat 22 foot long in like 1 week, like, it's amazing. 1 week, that's all it took.
When you're good in school and all that, like, it shows that whenever you do it, you'll get a good chance, like, to do something else, like a good project.
Great fun though, great fun.
And after 5 days, this is what the group of 10 had made. A 22-foot-long ocean-going curragh.
It's the traditional Clare curragh. You have different types of curragh starting from West Cork all the way up to Donegal, but this one is unique to Clare. This particular design would have changed very, very little in about 200 years. This is a sea-going vessel. You know, as frail and all as it looks, this vessel will survive out in the Atlantic Ocean. You know, so like for generations, men would have rowed possibly 5-6 miles to get to the fishing ground, maybe take on a quarter a ton of fish and row 5 or 6 miles home again.
The finishing touches are now being added before the pride of Ennis Community College gets her maiden voyage.
It certainly broadens the students' horizon. They're very interested in this particular project because it gives them an opportunity to apply the skills and the knowledge learned in the classroom to a real-life situation.
So what do you reckon? Do you think this boat will float or will it sink?
Oh, certainly. Pride of ECC, I think, will be around for many a long day, and I'm looking forward to the launch.
And now it's the moment of truth. The hull has been waterproofed with bitumen and is ready for action at nearby Clare Castle. James takes 2 of his students out on the water first, and soon they're powering away.
I've already skinned my baby enough.
There have already been welcome byproducts from the boat building project. The student's art teacher, Sheila Nadaragoyne, is a member of the Fergus Rowing Club.
We have the club here in Clarecastle, the Fergus Rowing Club. So as a byproduct of the initiative, I've had new members coming down, which is brilliant. And the Fergus Rowing Club members have been training them every Saturday and Sunday. And the kids have really taken to it, as you can see in there. They're really good rowers coming out of it. It's hard work. You saw them coming in after the race. They were red-faced and spine sore hands on them. But they really enjoyed it and it's good for them.
But the main attraction is a chance to give Principal Power a right good slagging and not get detention.
No, they're doing really, really well. Although I think Mr. Power is and Miss Murray are beginning to struggle out there now. But yeah, it's going really well. It's been a great success. It's been a very, very positive intervention for the students. They've really, like, the morale, their confidence is high, you know, and it's just been a huge success. And the whole school is buzzing. As you can see, the atmosphere today is great, and parents coming down and everything. So we're very, very happy to have the support here.
These type of JCSP projects can be put together very cheaply. The total cost for the curragh project was €1,500 and has given 10 teenagers great pride in something they've created and that could still be in the water in 40 years' time.
It is a tough sport. You know, God, you burn off plenty of calories and you burn plenty of energy. Well, the boat floats, the kids are happy, I'm happy, and the sun is out and it's been a great day.
So now we're going back to the story of the boat builder and his apprentice on the shores of Loch Ree, here behind me. Niall Martin picks up the story of Jimmy Fury's new adventure.
So look at the little lambs. Once you see the grass growing in the middle of the road, you know you're getting near Jimmy's place.
Most Tuesday mornings, Cathy McAlevey leaves her suburban Dublin home and family for 4 days of intense boat building on the shores of Loch Ree.
I've always worked from home, so I've never actually gone out to work. You know, I've always been around. So it's a bit of a shock to the family that, you know, mum has become a working mum, so to speak.
Cathy is coming to Lecarrow in County Roscommon, to Jimmy Fury's cottage where, for over 50 years, he's been building boats.
Let's go.
While the dogs play together, Cathy and Jimmy get to work.
Will I drill in the middle hole first?
Yeah. Jimmy advises and shows how a boat is built, and Cathy does all the heavy lifting and bending.
I do the light work, you know, stand at a bench for that. But stooping or hard work, you know, I'm not able, no.
And again. That'll do. Okay.
In his spare time, Jimmy built this scale model of the boat he and Cathy are now building, a Shannon 1 design.
Yeah, there's 11 planks each side, 11 clinker built.
Clinker built means that the planks overlap on the hull. The rivets are replicated by hundreds of tiny pieces of copper wire, all individually fashioned. Jimmy's intricately crafted model has won the Evans Prize at the Wembley Model Boat Exhibition.
The planking is large, and the gunnels are pitch pine, seats mahogany, the knees are bog oak, and the ribs are oak.
Whether it's a 27-inch Shannon 1 model or its 18-foot full-size version, Jimmy Fury is a master at his craft. He and his apprentice spend long days inside this shed.
I'm here more or less, you know, 3 or 4 days a week, and Jimmy works. I mean, we work from 9 to 6, and sometimes, like last 2 nights, we've been working till 7.
How many hundreds of hours work will this be?
Well, I heard Jimmy say earlier 600 hours, but Dougal McMahon, who's another boat builder, he told me it was more like 800 hours work.
The Shannon 1 is built to a precision specification.
Yeah, the measurements guy, Noel Donna, who's signed the guides here, he was here. The boat has to be measured twice during its build. They take measurements of the boat to make sure that everything is in the right place. And then when you finish the boat, before it's varnished, it's measured again to make sure that everything is in the right place again and that it's the right size.
Jimmy didn't take up sailing until later in life, but once inside the hull of a Shannon 1, he was hooked.
They're an exciting boat to sail, being long and narrow, and they're a very fast boat, and they carry a lot of canvas for the side of the hull, 140 square feet. So, they're a thoroughbred really in a blow, with 3 of a crew. Very exciting.
Watching Cathy and Jimmy work together is strangely moving. There's a calmness, a respect and a fondness between these two people.
She's anxious to learn, so she is, and she'll, any difficulty she'll consult you. And her standard, it's even better. She's even expecting a higher standard than I'd be inclined to give now, so she is. You'd be quite happy with working with her. She's that type, and very interested in what she's doing, and she's easy to get along with, I suppose, which is important. So it is.
he's not the sort of person who's against sort of change. Like every day the boat is sitting on stocks, and every day he says he thinks we should have it on hydraulics so that we can press a button. But you know, even though he's a traditional boat builder, he's still prepared to use you know, modern ideas and modern equipment, and you know, which is kind of nice, because sometimes you think like people like that, oh, they don't want any change or they don't want to try anything new, but he's just like really open to anything, you know.
She's doing me a favour, really. You know, I know she's doing me a favour. I'd be inside maybe reading or whatever and putting in the time, but you're looking forward to getting this done now, which is you know, which I appreciate, really.
Jimmy Fury is thinking well into the future. He's planted 20 acres of larch and oak for the boat builders who will sail Lough Ree in perhaps 50 years' time.
In Leaf there now, they're larch, and they're the tall ones, and the smaller ones are oak. So it's just larch and oak, and maybe the odd beech, you know, beech tree as well. They're 9 years planted, so they are, and they're done very well, you know, in that 9 years. I'd like to put back some of what I used, you know, in boat building, larch and oak again. There might be somebody out here hopefully they'll be boat building, you know, in years and years to come.
Boat building is a skill that requires no fancy equipment, just a keen eye and plenty of time. This shed has seen countless boats made and carried out off to the Shannon over half a century, and Kathy is hoping that maybe there's one more boat to be built in here.
Well, I kind of thought it was going to be his final boat, but I'm kind of feel now I'm enjoying being down here so much. I'm going to see, can I convince him to build another boat? So it mightn't be the last boat he builds.
And so 5 months down the road, this is what Jimmy and Kathy have achieved. A really impressive body of work, and it looks fabulous here in Jimmy's boatyard. Is there much work left to be done, Jimmy?
Yeah, we have this board casing to put in yet, and the flooring has to go in, and some of the spars have to be made, and the rudder and the chain plates have to go on, and a pair of oars has to be made as well.
And how do you think, or how are you thinking, Kathy, in terms of when this will have its first dip in the waters of the Shannon?
Well, by the time we finish varnishing it and fitting it out, we hope to have her kind of maiden sail next Easter, which is, they have the Easter regatta, which is normally actually in Mount Shannon. But I think it might be nice to have a bit of a party here in in Mount Plunkett, and maybe lunch here in Lough Ree.
So, Jimmy, do you think you might make another boat when this one is finished?
Oh my goodness, I think I've passed it now. I didn't think I'd be making this one either, so I didn't up to now. But I'm delighted that I did. I'm delighted that I did, because I'd be looking forward to coming out to do and there's no pressure on me to have it built in such a time or whatever, and that was a relief to me. Otherwise I wouldn't have dreamed of building a boat now towards her.
I think there's another boat in you.
I don't know about that now. I don't know about that.
With Kathy as a co-worker, not an apprentice.
Uh-huh.
I think I still need another. Don't I need a bit more apprenticeship time, Jimmy?
Yeah, it got me out doing something I like doing, you know. And she was doing all the heavy work, and I see that you know, that had to be done to be, you know, to my satisfaction, that had to be right. So in that sense, I think we got on well. So hopefully the boat will, you know, will show the results of all the labours.
Many congratulations to Jimmy and Kathy. I think it would be really nice to come back for the maiden voyage, and also well done to the students at Ennis Community College. Sin deire leis it leor, be mit rashlib Erigedin, agus go dtí sin on the hainor of Wirrin, agus ó chundé Roscommán, Iwhagwif. On next Wednesday's Nationwide, The hills around Castletownbere are alive with the sounds of exquisite piano playing on Sunday afternoons. We relish the music and the hospitality in the home of David and Suzanne Syme. And it's all hands on deck as the picturesque village of Schull hosts the World Team Racing Championships. They even make the boats and the sails for the event and welcome teams from different parts of the world. Schull hosts the World Team Racing